Hey guys, welcome to class number 3. This one I was trying to do a class a week, but I just wanted to do this page so badly, so I just got in and I did it, and then I had reservations as to whether I was even going to put this one up, because I don't know if you guys are quite as crazy as I am. This did take a considerable amount of time. In total, this entire page from start to finish took me about 4.5 hours, which is not typical for something that I would normally be putting together a class with. So, here's what I did. I'm using up some of the scraps that are left over from the other classes, and then when I needed extra paper, I went to the paper pad, pulled some extra bits out. On a piece of plastic, I have put on a little bit of the LUNAR paste, which is Gold Rush, and I've just added the tiniest bit of water to it, just the tiniest bit, and I'm kind of dry brushing the gold onto the paper just to give me a little bit of reflection. Now, a little bit of metallic in there, but not to the point of ridiculous. Now, this is sped up. Don't think I am some sort of crazy punching, like, I'm not in a hyper speed all the time. Sometimes I do slow down. But this page can be done with any punch you have. It doesn't have to be flowers, okay? If you have, to be honest, the reason I picked the flower punch, it was out of complete laziness, and it was still sitting on my bench on my table from the other day. And I thought, you know what? I might as well just use that. And I was thinking of doing hearts, to be honest, and then when I saw the punch I went, no, flowers, that will look really cute, because I've been stuck on a flower thing. You've probably noticed the theme in the last couple of days. I've just been on a bit of a flower kick, so I went through and I've punched out in the rainbow order. I've punched out my take on which ones I would sort of put in which order in the rainbow, and I've just put them in my working tray, and then I realized that I had the two purples run the wrong way. I probably need the light purple on the very end. But what I did notice, and I'm really glad I did this, because my little tiny punch that I've had forever and ever and ever has finally given up the ghost, unfortunately. So I'm now up for a new one of these, but that's okay, because it has served me well. I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, this page could be done with any punch that you have. So if you've got those, I mean, I used to have these little tiny punches. They used to hurt my finger, but I used to use them anyway. And you could do hearts, stars, any shape you like, anything that you feel you could. I personally would use something that you can either fold in half, like a heart, to create movement, or this flower, you can sort of scrunch the petals together and it raises it up and gives you a bit of texture. Because essentially on this page, all I'm using are these punched out flowers. Now, I know that sounds a little bit, you're probably thinking to yourself, Karen, you've left the building. But what I wanted to do with this particular class was to show you that a 6x6 paper pad can give you a super dramatic 12x12 layout. Like, I'm talking uber dramatic. Now, the photos that I'm scrapbooking are just, they're small, tiny photos. I probably, look, if I was going to print more photos, there's probably other ones I would have printed, and I maybe would have made them a little larger, but they were photos of Gizmo and his best friend. Best toy of the day, wins toy of the day 6 days out of 7. He has 2 toys. He has his puppy and he has his little mousy, and there is 2 things, and it depends. Every morning he chooses his toy of the day. Whichever one he pulls out, that toy goes with him everywhere for the day. Now, puppy, we're up to puppy 3.0 because he's gone through a couple of them, but they always have to be exactly the same puppy. So we had to hunt to get another one of these. And let me tell you, apologies if you're looking at me trying to punch these and I've got my tweezers there. I have to keep levering it open. It died so close to the very end here. It was just frustrating, but it's okay. We get there in the end. Now, so it's Puppy 3.0, and I wanted to make a layout, not necessarily that they had to be large photos, but I just wanted to document the memory of it, because down the track, obviously we know that, you know, we always usually outlive our pets. Let's just word it like that. So that's why these particular photos, I printed them out when they were really, really tiny. When I was actually doing remember back in January, I did a photo a day. And these photos, I needed some extra photos because I hate wasting the photo paper. So anyway, that's what I did. So I printed these photos, and these are the ones I'm scrapping today. Now, I've just put some clear gesso on my page, and I've added some water to the LUNAR paste. Now, what I'm actually creating here is, yes, obviously I'm trying to create gold drips, right? But I don't actually, they're technically not going to be drips as such in the layout in the back of my mind, okay? I added the water to try and get it to be a little bit more fluid, and the reason I obviously used the LUNAR paste is because that's what you got in your kit. So I wanted to show you that you can use it through a stencil, you can use it slightly diluted to make your papers have a little bit of a metallic fleck on it, and now I'm just showing you that you can, with a little bit of encouragement. Let's just put it that way. There was encouragement used to get it to run. I didn't want it to run straight off the bottom of the page, and I wanted it to have a little bit of body. Now, truthfully, I apologize if you can hear a drill out the back. I have my window open and I'm doing my voiceover this afternoon. It's a gorgeous day. It's a little bit warm, but it's starting to cool down. It's like that winter afternoon, you know, like it's really nice. So as you can see there, I've just created some drips. Now, this is obviously a floral layout. I don't want gold drips as such. I wanted them to be more of a vine, if you could imagine. So if you squint your eyes and tilt your head just at the right angle, think about it being more of a vine. That's what I was running with. So that's what I was coming up with, and because my paper did warp a little bit before I put the flowers onto it, I wanted to attach it to the border. So I was running with a black border because I love the rainbow with the contrast of the black, and it comes together. I think it comes together nicely. Now, I didn't cut my black. I didn't cut my, it wasn't that I didn't cut it. I didn't line it up properly. So you know what? I trimmed it off because when it goes in my album, it's going to sit straight. So it doesn't really matter. Now, this is where I show you that you can create this kind of an embellishment. So this is the 49th and Market film strips from the Rouge collection, but I don't use it. I'm using it as a template to show you how easy it is with the stencil that you got in your kit. You can create something that looks very similar to this, but obviously it's not acetate. Could make it in acetate if you want, but I do show you a little trick for that at the very end. Now, I've just traced over it. I've kind of used it as a template. The reason I've used it more as a template is to show you where I'm heading with this, so that you don't sort of go, what is she doing? Oh, this is boring. It's not, it's pretty much at this point, this is where, are you happy? Look at that. I remembered to pull off the placemat off my self-healing mat. Now I'm just going through and I'm just cutting out the squares, and obviously then it's got a little bit of a film strip look to it. And then once you've done that, what did I do then? Oh, that's right. Yep. So it's at this point then I just cut the little notches in the side so you can see that it sort of looks a bit like a film strip, and my photos fit in there, not a problem. Now this is where your stencil comes into it. So when I looked at this stencil, one of the reasons I chose it was because it has all these different borders that you can create with it. Now, if you want to create a film strip, there is a piece on its, let me count it down for you. It's from the very first one we used, skip those circles, it's the next line down. If you have a look at that, it actually looks like a film strip. So all I'm doing is putting through some thick white paint, and I'm using a makeup sponge to do it, and it's creating the effect of what you would normally see on a film strip. Now, so that it lines up, I place the, so you obviously know how to line up a stencil, but I wasn't too pedantic about it looking exactly perfect, because film strips were never perfect. They when we buy them as embellishments, yes, they look perfectly, when they come from a 49th of market, they do an amazing job and their quality is amazing. But when you're making it by hand, like, see, if you have a look, you go down 1, 2, 3, and that's where the line is in your stencil. So far we've managed to get 3 completely different looks from the one stencil. So this is something that I look at when I'm just distressing it, by the way, very, very gently. Yeah, so whenever I'm looking at purchasing a stencil or purchasing a product, and I've said this before, always think about different ways you can use it. How many different looks can you get with that particular thing? Now, with this stencil, with this film strips obviously come with your photos, and they're plastic looking and they have that gloss to them. This particular film strip is obviously made out of cardstock. So I've just grabbed a piece of packaging that you get around all of your stuff that you buy, and I am literally just sticking it down onto, and I've put it on the back part of it and trimming it down, and now I have a nice shiny film strip that my teeny tiny photos, I did struggle to put these on there a little bit, but as you can see, now I've got a film strip, and you can make exactly the same thing at your place. Now, make your film strip to suit the size photos that you're using. I've got teeny tiny photos, so obviously I've done it that way. But if you've got 2x1 photos or 2x3, make your film strip to suit it. This way you have no constraints. You can literally make it as big as you want to make. So I apologize, someone's riding a motorbike. I'm so sorry. Kids are on school holidays. Do I need to say any more? So it's at this point that when I put my photos down, because I've left that white border around them, that's where I've attached the adhesive. So it's just a fine line on there. Now, I did that, not a problem. Now, can you see what I'm about to do? And this is why I've sped this up to the point of hyperspeed, because I don't expect you guys to sit here and watch me put a gazillion flowers down. But the end result is, in my opinion, is fantastic. So, this is where sorry, I'm just sending a message very, very quickly to my child. They're getting very loud out there. So I glued down, the reason I glued that down first is because I know what I wanted, like I knew that my title was going to be a rub-on, and I didn't end up doing, I didn't sort of stress too much about creating a massive title or anything, because this particular layout, the main focus to it was this. I wanted to show you that you can create a lot of drama with inexpensive tools, a 6x6 paper pad, and all it takes is some time. Realistically, that is all this was. This is just one of those pages that, and I do love doing them. I will be honest. I do love a repetitive process that allows me to look. To be frank, I had some ghost adventures on, and it was a couple of them that I hadn't seen before, and I had that going, and as it was just one of those repetitive things, and I knew what I wanted to do with it. So initially, I'm just putting everything down flat, okay? All the flowers, they're all just getting glued down flat. I'm not raising anything up yet. I'm just getting a lot of colour down in rainbow order, and just to sort of fill in the blanks. Now, I did say you have to tilt your head sideways and squint really hard to get the direction of the vine behind with the gold. Now, it does... I probably could have maybe found a stamp. I don't know. Maybe I could have used twine. I sort of, as this layout was happening, I kind of felt like the gold worked, like it worked, the process worked, but it didn't really give me the full effect that I wanted. But by the time I put all the flowers on that I really wanted to put on there, to be honest, the gold is way in the background and you don't really notice it, to be completely honest. Now, sorry, it's a bit warm. Needed a drink. Okay, what else can I tell you? This particular layout, now, you'll have to let me know below if you think that this was... Should I have put this video up? Like, is this one just too... Is it too easy? Is it... I don't know. I just thought it was something... I just wanted to show this side of it. The next class that I have in my head is going to be completely different to this again. So you are literally, with one paper pad, you are literally learning many different techniques. So as you can see with the film strip, it looks, once you put all these flowers all around it, picture these. These could be stars. These could be, instead of doing the gold lines, you could do gold, stencil some gold stars on there. You could stamp some gold stars on there. You could do any of that. You could make all of these. This could become a night scene for you. And you could, instead of using white cardstock in the background, you could use maybe black or a really dark blue. And maybe you could use a brayer and use an orange and a pink and maybe a blue and create a nice background where it's all blended together, and then add all your stars on top of it. You could do that. You could even, talking about stars and metallic, you could quite literally paint some cardstock with your Lunar paste and not make it too thick. Like, it doesn't need to be super thick, so you don't have to use half a jar on one page. You could just put it on there quite thin. Maybe use a gesso brush, and that will give you a lot of texture. Punch out some stars. Then you've got yourself a night story. You might have photos of you and your other half, and in the back of the ute, just with a couple of pillows out in the middle of nowhere and just checking out the stars, having a nice night. You might have photos like that. I can't say I've ever had the opportunity to do that, but I do love a night sky out in the country. How nice is that? It's just, city kids just don't know what the night sky really looks like. You get out in the country and it's completely different. So good. So that is another direction you could take this. Obviously, if you're going to do that, you're probably not going to want to use all of the colors that are in the rainbow, so you may not run with that. Now, this is where I'm just putting my title down. I've got to this point and I've gone, okay, I need to put my title down so I was thinking of having it down the bottom there, right? That's what, in my mind, right from the beginning, that's where I was putting it. So it looked like the flowers were falling down onto it. But I changed my mind, which we're allowed to do. You know what? We're allowed to do that. So I put the rub-on onto white, and then I backed it onto black so that it popped, and that was just some old scrap cardstock that I keep next to me because you never know when you just need a little tiny piece of it. So it totally works, and I absolutely love how that worked. But then it left me with a gaping hole right here. So I had to try and fill it all back in. So, but I think it looks okay. I mean, like I said, you guys have to let me know what you think. Now, I did actually pause the video at this point, and you're going to notice that my tray magically fills back up again. That's because I think you guys had, I've done it. So I've gone back through. Now it looks a little bit, at this point in the video, it looks a little bit messy. When I go through and I add the diamantes into only the flowers that are curled up. So I curled up the edges after I went through with all the flat flowers. I went through and curled up the edges of some flowers as I put them back on. And if you go over to the Facebook group or go over to my Instagram, you'll see the close-ups and you'll see what I mean. And I do zoom in at the end of this video and you can see how much they're standing up. I decided to go through with my cheap bling, the cheap stuff that I got from Amazon, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go to town with this, and I'm going to just put coloured bling in the center of the flowers that have their petals curled up. And once I did that, it just popped and it looks fantastic. I really do like it. It was a bit of a labor of love. I realize that is not everybody's cup of tea, but I did want to show you that you can create a lot of wow factor with time. So time, and I mean, obviously if you've got a baby on your hip and you're trying to document the first year of your child's life and they're 6 months and they're teething and the washing hasn't been done and life's chaotic, this is probably not the page that you're going to want to try and tackle, because even though it's super simple, you'll probably want to give up halfway because you'll have to stop so many times. It won't be quite as cathartic as what it is for someone like me that has all the time in the world to stick down a million flowers. I mean, that's what it is. So I really did enjoy doing this one, guys, and I really hope this one, I'm going to put this one in the category of possibly just a bonus class video. Let me know what you think. Because the next one that I do have in my head is nothing like this one. Nothing like it. So I'm trying to create at least 4 different layouts with the paper pad for the class that gives you 4 completely different looks. And yeah, so I'm just about finished with the diamantes, and then I'm going to do a zoom in for you. So here you go, you can see all the texture, everything up close and personal. See how the flowers are lifted up? So you do have a lot of texture. And when you get up close with it, you can see, you can feel it all. It feels amazing. It's really good. And yeah, so if you have not subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you join. It is free, not to mention that. A comment or a like, I would absolutely love all of that too. Love finding out where everybody lives. That's really interesting for me. And let me know what you think. What do you think about the film strip? Do you think it works? Not really. It's not your thing. What from this class do you think you might give a crack? Let me know. Chat to you soon, guys. Bye for now.